All right, so do we have everyone that needs to be here?
This is Barbara Baskerville.
Hi,
I'm here.
Barbara. Okay.
Darcy Rourke here.
All right, so the first thing I see is approval of the meeting minutes. I looked over them. They look good to me.
I move we approve the minutes as presented.
I second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, everybody. All right. The webpage and letterhead. Rebecca, are you taking that one?
Yes, and actually this is Kristen. I know it always says Rebecca's name,
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
oh
Okay.
yeah, no, not a problem. I know we've only met once before, but so we went ahead and we do have the ethics webpage up and running. And I just wanted to give you a quick little glance at it, a little overview. Of course, we can change things as you see fit. As your bylaws become established, we can add more information on this as well. This will be a place where members of the public can come and get access to the meeting. They can log on through WebEx. I'll always post the meeting link. I'll have the password and meeting number so folks can call in. We will have the meeting recordings here on the right-hand side also. And then, of course, any meeting documents that are discussed. And folks can get to this page from the county manager site. So if you're just on the main homepage of the clark.wa.gov, and if you go to departments and then county manager, over here in the menus on the left, there should be Ethics Review Commission, and that will take you right to the page. So of course we can tweak this, make any changes. I tried to link the current ethics code, the charter review resolution that approved this commission, and then of course winter bylaws, we'll have those linked here as well. And then another thing we'd been working on is official letterhead for the group, for any letters you see fit, or for anything you like. It's fairly basic, but it shows the members, and we can edit this as you would like as well. So I'm here to take any suggestions, or of course they're both kind of working pages, so we can change them however you like.
Well, for one, very impressed. I found it easy to navigate and just a good product.
Perfect. Well, thank you.
Yeah, I don't see anything that needs changing either.
I'm good with it.
I do have one question though. Is there an online link for people who want to file an ethics complaint, or is that strictly through the hotline?
According to the charter review resolution, it mentions the hotline. Of course, I don't know, and maybe this is something Chris could help answer too, but I don't know if that's something maybe that could be added in your bylaws, or if it has to be strictly the hotline, because that's what the charter review resolution approved here. And depending on which way, I thought maybe it would be a good idea once it's established to add just a quick little blurb about the procedure of filing an ethics complaint. So it's just right here on the front page too.
Right.
Chris, did you have thoughts on that? We lose her.
Christine?
Oh, Chris, you're on mute.
Could be why. I'm also taking notes to follow up too. So we'll see if she hops back on.
Okay.
Krista, make sure I can stay unmuted if you would.
Oh, yes, no problem. I will leave
Okay.
you.
Yeah, I haven't, I couldn't tell you about that. I would have to look into it. So I will be happy to do that.
Yeah, I'd say that would be a good idea to look into that. And if the purpose is transparency, then the easier it is for people to do that, the better, I suppose.
Okay. All right, I will check that out and get back to you.
All right. Are we supposed to approve the webpage and the letterhead? Is that something that needs approval, or is that,
I would say if you have suggestions, go ahead, give suggestions. I don't think it actually needs approval.
okay? All right.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And of course, as time goes, we can easily, now that it's up, I can make changes fairly easily. So,
Okay. So if we happen to spot something further down the road, we just get in touch with you?
yep.
Okay, cool. All right. Anybody have anything else on the webpage and letterhead?
No,
Looks good.
Okay, the bylaws then. It looks like you guys put in a lot of work on this.
Thank you. Yes. So I went ahead and used the Pierce County bylaws that you had identified in the last meeting. And I went through and changed everything from Pierce County to Clark County and tried to modify some, language just to make it more relevant to your commission. Whereas there's only 3 members, or, it talks about the hotline or, the ethics phone number and whatnot. The parts that are highlighted are things that I think there were decisions that your commission needs to make, whereas, regular meetings, things that I wasn't able to just quickly insert and whatnot. Of course, a more extensive glance through everything, including my changes, is needed. But this was just my first stab at trying to make this as easy as possible for you all.
I really appreciate that. This looks great.
I think so too.
I've missed this. I just had the Pierce County ones and I was looking for revisions, but I didn't see one. So perhaps I just didn't click the right attachment, but I will get back to it. So don't delay things because I have missed something.
Okay, Barbara and Darcy, do you guys want to, we could either go through this separately and then come back, but it might be more efficient if we want to just sort of go through and see if we can make some of these decisions now.
I think that's a good idea.
That's fine. Again, I don't have it in front of me, so I will go with what you're saying, but
Can you see the screen, Barbara?
I can, but it is so tiny that there's no way I can.
Barbara, I can shoot you an email really quick too with
Yeah.
it, if that's helpful to you. So,
Okay. Guess I'll still be off. I don't do this sort of thing, so I'm not sure if I'm going to click off of this and get out of here or just we'll figure it out.
and I can try to make this bigger too.
What kind of screen are you using, Commissioner?
My me, Barbara,
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of, it says Cisco Web Events, and then it's
Yeah.
larger now. Yeah, thank you.
Is it a full-size computer monitor, or is it a phone or an iPad?
It's a laptop,
Okay.
but she's just enlarged this, so I do see,
Okay, great.
but
Perfect.
I can't
can
scroll
try to-
down.
Oh, yeah, I will have to scroll for you all, and I can try to, I'll do my best to keep track as we go and make changes as we
Okay.
move along too.
Okay, so sounds like everyone can see what we're looking at. So the top, which is the title, that all looks good to me. That's just changing it from Pierce and putting in our code and our dates. So,
The date is wrong.
well, that's probably the date that Kristen modified it.
Well, probably, but that should be open until you all
Okay.
do something with it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Other than that, I would say we accept all those changes. Chris, do we need a motion and approval on each one of these things as we go through them, or?
No, you
Okay,
can,
good.
do this in one batch.
Okay. And
If,
so,
if someone wishes to amend it, then the amendment would be, a particular motion, as section 1.6 or whatever. But if you wish to just approve it, go for it.
okay. So unless anyone thinks otherwise, I don't see any problem with the title and section 1.1, which would
No
take us
problem.
to the first highlighted decision that we probably have to make.
I'm good with it.
All right. So 1.21 is about how often we want to meet. And I see looking down a little bit later that the plan is to do just virtual meetings for now. So that probably opens that up a lot. My own perspective about the meetings, I guess, is that from the standpoint of public participation, regular meetings of some, spaced out in some way are probably better than saying something like, we'll have a meeting once there's a complaint.
But if there's no complaint, what would be the purpose of the meeting?
The purpose of the meeting would be compliance. The purpose of a regular schedule would be compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act
Sure.
of Washington. And I think what we're looking at is something in chapter 4230. 4230.070. You need to provide the time for holding regular meetings. And then that is published online. And that is absolutely a help for public transparency.
So monthly is, I can do any spacing that the rest of you guys feel is appropriate. Monthly is probably more than we need, given how few complaints come in. Every other month, I mean, I kind of would like, I guess, every other month as opposed to going longer than that, because that would set us up for pretty, regular FaceTime together that we're not otherwise going to get.
Right.
And just in case anything comes up, something might come up other than complaints, I suppose. Adjustments to the website, or if any recusal issues come up or anything like that. I guess that would be complaint dependent also. But what do you guys think about every other month?
That's good with me. Quarterly's even good with me at this point. So since there's not that much to do.
Yeah, I wondered about quarterly, but maybe every other month is easier for people to track. I don't know. I could go either way.
Well, if you guys are both leaning towards quarterly, why don't we go with that? And then we can always change it later if we decide that they should be more often.
Sure.
That's good.
All right. Scrolling down.
I apologize. Am I changing this to every other month?
Sorry, quarterly.
Quarterly.
Quarterly. Okay. Thank you. Sorry about that.
The rest of the changes in section 1.2 look
This should be
pretty
Jen.
straightforward, administrative.
Right.
And then it's all virtual meetings, so that's all good in section 1.3. Unless
So
anyone objects.
section 1.2, if we can go back,
Yeah,
you need to do something with the place that it's being held there, Christian.
Oh.
So we need more than 24 hours written notice for the county to do what it needs to do. If the chair is going to call special meetings require publication in the newspaper. They require notice to radio and television stations. They require posting on the front door or main entrance of the public service center. And there has to be an agenda in the notice. So just a few OPMA things. So that needs some tweaking.
So Chris, if I have a question, how long notice is required then for a special meeting?
At 24 hours, but if the chair calls it and we don't hear about it
Mm-hmm.
until 24 hours, we're not going to get all our stuff done on time.
I see. We have to post it and it has to be posted for 24
Bingo.
hours. Mm-hmm.
Right. Has
So
to be
we
on
would
our
need more than
website
24
and
hours.
so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
so we need a week notice to you guys.
I think 48 hours is probably adequate. And
Yeah, if it's
assuming it's a business day,
yeah, I mean essentially,
and the next
you
day
know,
is a
just one business day. Mhm.
I'd say maybe 2 business days prior would work. Would work. I don't think the number of hours says what we want. I mean, what if the chair gives notice on a Thursday? Anyway, how about two business days in advance of the meeting?
Sounds good to me.
That's good.
Two business days prior notice. Okay. Okay.
So then do we also then need to save something from 1.3 about the meeting having a designated place where it's physically happening,
Well,
even though it's virtual?
no, I don't think so. I could look further at that, but I think the requirement for a physical place kind of went away 3 years ago and it hasn't come back. In general, county meetings are hybrid.
Okay.
And I'm not 100% sure what the story is on whether they have to be hybrid or
I know that
I
I've
will
looked a
look
little
into
bit
it.
at this issue in my work role. There were some people who felt like it was important to have a physical component because not everybody has a computer. I don't know if that's, as important for us as it is for something like the city council. But But it
Right.
is a consideration, I suppose.
Well, you are kind of an equivalent to the city council. You're a sub-agency of the Clark County.
I see.
So there is a public interest in being able to participate in some way, at least to know what you are doing.
Yeah. Well, is there, if we wanted to do in-person meetings, is there a space available to do it?
Yes, we have space down here at the county. We could use the council hearing room as long as it doesn't, we'll have to find a time that does not conflict with other meetings in the room.
Interesting. Huh.
Which has implications for the regular meeting. The schedule for regular meetings needs to be created and
Oh,
adhered
up
to.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be in the bylaws, but it needs to exist.
Yeah. Well, from just thinking about fairness and equity, I guess I lean towards going with the county's model of doing hybrid. But what do other people think? Because I know that creates a whole different kind of commitment.
What
Well,
is, what is the county's version of hybrid?
right.
Yeah, it's totally hybrid. Um, both the commission members and anyone from the public and staff attend either hybridly, either virtually or in person.
So there's always an option.
Yes.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's good.
And if in town and available, which would be 90% of the time, I like in-person meetings, so I'm fine with that.
All right, let's go with that then, because I definitely agree that it's especially given what we're doing here, it seems like
Right.
we really should err on the side of more transparency whenever we possibly can.
Okay, so I changed the last sentence here to say meetings will be held in a hybrid format, allowing participation in person and online. I don't
Yeah.
know.
That works.
Okay.
Is that number is that number one, or does it have a number? Does it need a number?
Oh, I have number 1. It was the only thing under
Yeah,
1.3. We could add more if you like.
I'd just take the one off.
Oh, okay. Okay.
All right, 1.4, quorum and voting. 2 members required for a quorum makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, this was a portion of the Pierce County bylaws that was really specific to them.
Mhm.
Whereas how often they elect a chair. So this was a part I thought you all might have to make some decisions on. No.
Mm.
For the most part, those all look fine to me. It's good to have something about election of the chair. And I think if we're only meeting quarterly and for some reason one of us isn't able to make it for 3 in a row, it's probably a good time to move on.
Yeah.
Correct.
Anybody have another perspective on that, or should we just go with what they've got there in Pierce?
Go with what they've got.
I agree. I think it looks fine.
Okay. Okay, the next several are housekeeping kind of items. Doesn't look like there's anything we have to do with those. They all look good to me.
We don't have a county executive. We have a county manager.
Ah,
And I think that appeared in the last section above as well.
I may have missed that. There we go. The county manager's designee. Okay.
And
Records.
yeah, we have a public records officer. So I'm not sure that this makes sense.
which part? The 1.6?
Yeah,
Clark County.
but that person could be the staff person, the designee could,
Sure.
and I'm wondering what's meant here by county managers or county executives designee with a capital D. Looks to me like that might be an actual appointed office in Pierce County. The designee.
Chris, maybe there's this is all governed by law, right? So do we really even need this section?
No, it's not governed by law. Each county, each government agency has their own process and personnel for handling public records requests. And, we absolutely do that at the county. We have a public records
Well,
person.
I guess what I'm getting at is does the Ethics Commission need to have a provision on this, given that the county has a process already in place? What are we adding by having this in here?
Yeah, I would, you know what I would do? I would change the capital D to a small d so that it's clear it's not an appointed designee if that's a person in Pierce County. And I think that departments in the county name their public records person. So I would think this would be similar.
But I kind of agree with Adam. I'm wondering if it might be appropriate to say all records of the commission are deemed to be available for public inspection as per Clark County.
Well, so all records of the commission won't be available.
Oh. Well, then we need to change that language. So the stuff that wouldn't be available would be investigation.
Yeah. I
No,
would, okay, except as specifically exempted by. That's fine. So it names the public records exemption.
hmm
So that's good.
I'm not quite sure that I was clear enough, but maybe I was, but what the point that I was trying to make was that, so the first sentence here just states the law. Right? It doesn't say anything about policy or procedure that we're going to adopt. All it does is say what the law is.
Yeah, I think that's so. I mean, do what you want. This
And-
is very typical bylaws material for a public agency.
Okay, well, if anyone's more comfortable with it in there than not, then I don't have a problem leaving it in. I'm always looking to crunch things down, so,
right.
but we don't need to. So then I guess we just, in the second sentence, change executives designee to managers lowercase d designee. And that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. That works.
All right. Enforcement procedures, section 2, under Clark County. As per this, Clark. So this one the paragraph under enforcement procedures would change if we do add a way to put a complaint online, file a complaint online.
Kristen, it's Ethics Review Commission.
Thank you.
Sure. Can you scroll back up to the very last one? Because that might have said some of the stuff that's online.
Oh, yes, I also wanted to make sure that you all were happy with what this says. This was just what Pierce County said, and now seeing the website.
Yeah. Right, that's a good point. I like those three. I like those three things. And I don't know that I'd want to go any further, like investigation materials or anything like that. I don't think would necessarily be appropriate to post.
I agree.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so are we scrolling down now to section 3?
Yes, there we go.
Okay.
Did we see what was right above this?
Yeah, the part that should, I think that would only
No,
change.
not on
if we
page
added-
2, on page 3.
Yes.
There, that paragraph. Keep going.
So I think that part, the very top part there would only change if we added another method other than the hotline to submit a complaint. Otherwise, it looks good to me.
Right.
I wonder if we want to add to that. Well, I'm just trying to think about the easiest way to do it. We could say, or by any other method approved by the commission, so that we don't have to come back and change this again if we add an online form. My concern being just that we won't remember to come back and change this.
I think that makes sense.
Right, I agree.
Don't want to find ourselves in violation of our own bylaws accidentally. All right, anything on that, else on that before we go to section 3?
No.
No,
All right.
There we go.
Okay, so the first question that I have about this one, let me scroll back up for a second.
Oh.
Is whether we need if we need to define probable cause. I kind of think we probably do, because otherwise,
Oh, I agree.
yeah, okay, so what's the best way to go about this, I suppose? Chris, can you work up a definition of probable cause for us?
So I don't do crimes. You're probably in as good a position as I am, but
Okay,
if
all
you,
right. Why don't we take that on, then we can assign that to me to come up to, I'll try and draft. Well, let me step back here. So if we're only gonna meet quarterly, I think we're gonna need to do this definition of probable cause and things like that before the next meeting, but maybe not. Okay, let's do that. Let's stick with the quarterly meetings and say by the next meeting, at the next meeting, I'll produce a proposed definition of probable cause.
That sounds good.
Okay,
okay.
unless anyone else wants to do it. I don't do criminal law either, but I do think we should. I think it'll be pretty easy to come up with a definition that matches the law, and we just should all be on the same page about what it means.
Exactly.
well, presumably you're not matching criminal law. I could be wrong, but I don't think that necessarily the code of ethical conduct is equivalent to state or federal criminal law. And I don't think that the standards contained in criminal law either do or should necessarily apply.
Mm-hmm.
So when I suggested that you do this, I'm sure you can find some workups of what probable cause might mean in one situation or another. And I think that it makes sense for you all to define it in a way that does make sense to you.
So when we're talking about probable cause, we're mostly just thinking it seems more likely than not that something has gone wrong. Is that kind of how people perceive that phrase in this context?
Yeah, I think of probable causes, it's more likely that something has occurred based on the review of the facts you have in front of you.
Right. I like keeping that definition simple. So, yeah, that makes sense to me.
All right, do we want to just strike probable cause then and put more likely than not?
That works for me.
I do kind of like getting out of probable cause is such a loaded term.
It's reasonable grounds, any more definitive or any more not definitive?
I thought y'all just said more likely than not.
Okay,
Instead of, right.
Well,
So if
it's a
the
good question.
commission finds that it is more likely than not that a violation, but this is totally your thoughts.
I think I kind of like reasonable grounds, but I guess it depends on,
reasonable ground sounds up because more likely than not what is the question after that.
yeah, yeah,
And so reasonable grounds presents a little more, to me, a reasonable person would think something's going on here.
yeah. I like that better than more likely than not.
Reasonable grounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Darcy?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I definitely like it better than probable cause, and I can see the questions that more likely than not might raise. So yeah, I like that.
I guess the other thing I wonder in this same sentence is if the commission finds, is that a 2 out of 3 of us, or is that a unanimous decision? Or should it
Go
be
back up to the quorum and
Yeah.
voting
Right,
cards.
if there's a quorum and there's only 2 of us there at the meeting, and we still want to make a determination,
Well, we could not have a majority with 2 if we disagreed, so you'd have to wait for the 3, or you would not be finding reasonable grounds because you just disagreed on it. I think that sorts it out by the numbers.
well, we could always say something like if a majority of the commission members present at the meeting.
But if there's only 2 people at the meeting, then what you're saying is both would have to agree.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
right.
Exactly, that is correct.
Yeah,
If there are 3 of you present at the meeting, then 2 would agree. I'm pretty sure I saw that. Kristen, isn't there a quorum and voting section here? Have we gone past that?
I
There-
believe so. I think it was in the very beginning.
Right, so scroll up to that and see what that says. Keep going.
Meetings, quorum and voting. 2 members are required for a quorum.
Keep going. Okay, there we are, number 2.
Yeah.
A majority vote of those members present and voting, provided the quorum is met.
But
yeah.
you have a majority with
There's only
people.
2, if there's only 2 there, then nothing can get done.
Of
Unless
course it can get done if you both agree.
Unless it's,
Exactly.
right, that's a good point.
that's
That's a good
right.
point. And that's probably what we want anyway, right?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Here.
another question then on this, Chris, before we decide is is it possible for us to individually reach a conclusion about reasonable grounds? And not necessarily be there to vote on it. I guess no, we can't make any decisions outside of the meeting, so,
Bingo.
yeah, okay. Okay. So,
Well, if we have, unless someone is very ill and in the hospital, if we have a hybrid meeting format, it seems to me unlikely that we won't all be there.
yeah, it does.
And,
to me too.
unless of some disaster of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess where I'm getting hung up is wanting to see if there's some way to prevent a situation where one person might be able to hold up
Right.
a determination here. You know, like, let's say that it involves me. And I decide, oh, I'm too sick to even log onto my computer for the meeting, so no determination is going to be made on this for at least another quarter.
Well, no, because a quorum would be two, and that would be the other two commissioners.
But they would have to agree.
Yeah. But that would be the case in any instance. So I guess I'm trying to say, Adam, are you looking for a
Okay, no,
unanimous
no,
or just a majority?
No, I think I'd prefer a majority.
So since there's only three of us, if there were four of us or 10 of us, it would be different. But since there's only three, there's a distinct possibility that there will be two, and they will agree or they disagree.
Okay.
Well, and let's say they disagree. So one person is for, one person's against. Then what happens next? Does it fail and then that's the end of it, or can it come back to the next meeting?
I would say that it typically fails.
Okay.
If it, for example, and you ought to have, I think, a rule about that. Otherwise, things that fail will keep coming back ad, I hate to say nauseum, but they will come back forever.
Right.
So typically something that has a tie vote fails, and something where there is not a majority of a quorum fails. In this case, that could be the same thing. Regardless.
Right. I mean, back to Adam's point, though. I mean, a person who wants to have it fail or just not have it addressed can just not come to the meeting, kind of hold it hostage.
Only if the other two disagree.
Right. It depends on the other two.
And they
And
could,
isn't there something about attendance at meetings, Kristen? Did I see that?
yeah, the
I
first,
think it was when it talked about electing the chair, leadership, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think it's 3 that if you miss 3 quarters in a row.
Oh, unexcused.
So is that only unexcused absences or any absence? So, I mean, that's very generous to be able to miss 3 quarters in a row.
That's true.
yeah, it'd be different if you met every week. That would be.
Exactly. If we met every month, that would be different.
Well, it can be whatever you all want.
I don't mind leaving it with unexcused, because I guess that gives us room to talk about this at meetings.
Sure.
And decide what's excusable and what's not, but I'm also fine changing it. You're definitely right, as far as I'm concerned, Darcy, that if you miss 3 in a row, you're probably done, but I think we all agree on that point.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Now, anyway, so.
By the way, just one thing, because this came up in a big brouhaha with county council, and this doesn't, well, I'm not sure whether it needs to be in the whether something needs to be in the bylaws or not. I'm not sure whether it's here. There are methods according to Robert's Rules of Order to reconsider a vote that is taken. The motion for reconsideration can only be made by the by a person who's on the prevailing side. So that's one item. And then another thing that occurred this past year was there was a motion to renew a vote, which one finds very little about in the meeting literature because it's an odd thing. And it doesn't have to be made by someone on the prevailing side. And I think most people think it's kind of strange and
Yeah.
unusual. But in any event, I don't know whether that's the exception to once it's voted on, it's done.
Hmm. Well, I definitely don't like the motion to renew.
No, I don't need,
Nobody does, except for the people who want it renewed.
It also seems very odd that a motion to reconsider has to be brought by the prevailing party.
I agree.
Well, that has been so informal under Robert's Rules organizations for as long as I've been working with them, which is too many decades.
Hmm.
Which would almost be impossible if you're talking about two commissioners disagreeing. There's no prevailing party.
There is a prevailing party. The prevailing party is the person who was opposed.
Okay,
Because
so
it
the
doesn't
no, the
happen.
no vote.
Yeah.
So they,
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
I
Okay.
I'm interpreting that differently. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Hmm.
But that's not what's here right now. I'm sorry I had to put that in because I wanted to be clear on the when you vote, it's done.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can put that in the hopper to address.
It was a digression.
All right. Okay, so are we back now then on 3.1? And are we ready to move on to A, having decided that it's fine to leave it, that a commission finds, and then we're gonna change probable cause to reasonable grounds?
Yes.
Otherwise, leave it as it is?
Yes.
I get that right? Okay. All right. Rules on A. Um, I like A. I don't see anything that needs to be changed. It does start to sound very official when we're talking about people coming in, being represented by council, but
Yeah.
um,
So
but
is
I'm
there a
comfortable with that.
hearing?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. So there's not just an investigation and based on the results of the investigation, a recommendation can be, it always will go to a hearing. Okay. I just wanted to be clear.
well, I suppose, well, yeah, right. This is only after we've done an investigation and we've found reasonable grounds to believe that a violation occurred. Then there would be a hearing.
Oh, that's when the hearing occurs.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 I got it.
So if you look up in one, it says after investigation, I'm just parsing this sentence and it doesn't make sense. because we don't have a hearings officer. Okay, finds reasonable grounds to believe that a violation has occurred. The commission decides to retain the matter for its own formal investigation. Such hearings shall be, what hearings?
The one that's described below,
Ah,
I guess.
a hearing described below shall be subject to the procedures. Yeah, this is not making sense.
No,
Hearings
it's not
just
clear.
jumped in there.
So I guess we want to change that then. The commission decides to retain the matter for a hearing.
Subject to the following procedures.
How about investigation and hearing?
Well, there's already been an investigation though, right?
Ah, after investigation. Yes, you're right.
Investigation.
Yeah, after investigation, we decide if this has reasonable grounds to have a hearing. Then the hearing's held according to this ABCD.
So Pierce
what I-
has some formal investigation after some preliminary investigation is what this sounds like, and we're not going to do that.
Right.
Okay.
So after
Kristen-
investigation, if the commission finds reasonable grounds to believe there's a violation, then it will have a hearing subject to the following procedures.
Is Clark County Code 2.07.010?
I can pull it up really fast. I think it's,
That would be titled Ethics Review Commission. That's y'all.
and
Okay,
it's kind of small, but
yeah, okay. And I don't remember, does our code doesn't really talk about hearings, it just talks about,
This is your code.
yeah.
show me frequently.
Well, it does say the members are responsible. This is 020 sub 1C. The members are responsible for hearing, investigating, and ruling on complaints of violations. So,
Here.
yeah,
Ruling, okay, so
So it-
hearings are contemplated.
I think so.
So
So I'm-
then,
It,
go ahead.
it says hearing.
So I'm thinking about an issue that's raised, an investigation is held. The commission receives the investigation recommendations and votes 3-0. Votes 3-0. So that the whatever happened. So is at that point, is there a hearing? Or
Yeah,
does the
so
As revised, that's how this would occur.
Yeah.
And I would, Kristen, I would not say a hearing will take place. That's kind of passive and unspecific. I would say then the commission will hold a hearing
yeah,
to make
okay?
it clear who commission shall, not will.
and Darcy, just to clarify, I want to make sure that it's clear to you that we're the ones that do the investigation
Right.
in the hearing. Okay,
Absolutely.
good, okay.
Right. No, absolutely. That's clear to me. I just somehow hadn't even thought of the hearing piece. I had thought rulings would be made following the investigation,
Mhm.
but I can see that so then the person who's complained against
Yeah.
do they have to ask for the hearing?
No,
That's not what this says.
no, it says that as the commission, we do the investigation. If there's reasonable grounds to think that a violation has occurred, we have a hearing. So that person who's been accused of these things can come forward and say, no, that's not what happened.
Right. Okay. No, I'm totally clear on that now.
Okay.
And then the commission would take a vote at the end of the hearing
A
for the
ruling.
determination
Yeah.
for the rule. Okay. Yep. And at that point, it's done.
Well, subject to the stuff that Chris brought up.
Well,
Motion
there's
to
that.
reconsider.
Only if you're on the prevailing side, because otherwise the losers could bring it up again and again and again.
Right.
The idea is that somebody that knew, and you don't see this, but it accommodates new evidence or a sincere change of opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So Kristen, you could put a colon after the word procedures that's in red and delete the rest of it, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's a semicolon,
Oh.
sorry.
Just kidding. There we go.
And then everything after the colon would be removed in that line that following.
Yeah, I don't think that does anything.
And the commission decides all of that's out.
Yeah, retain the matter for its own formal investigation. Y'all don't
Yeah.
do that. You've already
No.
investigated.
Right.
Yes. Take all that out.
So all this bit about subpoenas and so forth is pretty interesting
Mm-hmm.
because
I like that part about subpoenas because I like the idea of a model where if we're not satisfied, we have all the information, we have some sort of a mechanism to keep looking.
what authorizes you to issue subpoenas, not to be argumentative, but you can't say, oh, our own bylaws do. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's kind of coercive process.
Well, could we, instead of, so starting at shall issue subpoenas, could we say instead may request further testimony and evidence?
Absolutely.
I like that.
Yeah.
So may request, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the,
Further testimony and evidence. Maybe just period, I guess. Testimony and evidence.
Yeah. Because that way it doesn't.
and then just scratch this part or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the part that you just left out allows the person being complained against to ask you to request further testimony and evidence. Actually, it said they can ask you to issue a subpoena.
But if we don't have authority, I don't care who asks us.
Well, you're requesting further testimony and evidence, and you can either do that for yourself, or you can do that for yourselves and the person being complained against.
Yeah, I guess that's good. If the person complained against wants to say, hey, you haven't heard yet from
Right.
so-and-so who's got important information, we would want them to be able to point that out to us, I think.
Right.
Yeah, or why didn't they bring that person to the hearing?
Yeah, that's a good
Maybe
point.
that person would come and has something to say if you asked them, but wouldn't necessarily if they asked. You know, if you have an ethics violation here or an allegation, it's probably not going to be a conflict-free situation.
That's
Mhm.
true.
I guess I'm unclear as why, are you saying there should be something else added there, or that just may request further testimony and evidence?
I would say may request further testimony and evidence at the request, on its own behalf or on behalf of the person complained against.
Okay, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
How about instead of the person complained against, participants?
Well, there'll be public hearings, so do we want anyone to be able to tell us we need to get more evidence?
Well, they wouldn't be participants, they would be viewing.
Is that right? I guess that's true. Chris,
I'm
on the
sorry,
public meeting,
I missed what you said, Commissioner.
would,
Uh,
go
I
ahead.
I just said, you've said something about using the phrase "and the person complained about" or something like that, and I'm just saying
It's
that's awkward. And I was just saying, or the commission or any of the participants in the hearing. Just getting rid of some bulky language that's,
so I like the person complained against because it limits it to that person.
okay.
If you want to allow a broader group of people to request testimony and evidence, go right ahead.
Yeah.
That's your decision. This limits it to the person who is the respondent, the
The object of the inquiry.
bingo.
Yeah, so I suppose we might want to expand that to include the complainant and the person complained against. I don't know that we want to do it for just anybody.
I agree. I think that's dangerous to go beyond that. But I like the idea of saying the complainant and the person complained against.
Okay.
But I can't imagine why anyone else. I don't know.
You haven't been to a public meeting lately.
But I know that's what really worries you, because you don't want someone's mom or someone's
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, no. I think we need to be specific there.
So may request further testimony and evidence on behalf of the commission, or on its own behalf, or on behalf of the complainant or the person complained against, if that wording isn't objectionable.
It's not perfect, but I think it gets there.
Yeah.
I
We
mean,
might have more bright ideas in the near future after we review this.
Right.
Okay, so I just want to be clear. Does someone mind stating back what portion to add?
On its own behalf. Or on behalf of the complainant.
Complain.
And,
goes.
yeah, there you go. Or, and whoever wants to word this, go for it.
Or the,
Object of the inquiry. The
well, so elsewhere in this document, it uses respondent, right?
That would work.
Let's use respondent.
Okay.
and period and the rest of that. Subpoena stuff.
About adjourning the hearing from time to time. Does anybody care about that?
Oh, this last portion.
Where are we moving on to?
It's just the end of that paragraph.
Oh, commission may adjourn its hearing from time. I mean, is that just saying you can do a sidebar?
No, I think
No,
it's
I
saying
think it means it can be,
we're going to meet
yeah.
again next Monday or
right.
a month from now.
Personally, I'd prefer something that says the hearing will be limited to 10 minutes, but that's just my own.
Oh, that's an interesting point. 10 minutes.
No.
I can't imagine that happening, but
I
I
mean,
think-
I've made shorter oral arguments before.
Oh, so have I. I once had 2 minutes and 15 seconds in front of the Oregon Court of Appeals.
wow.
Thank you, Oregon Court.
Oh,
Um,
I do think we ought to have the ability to adjourn the hearing. I mean, I can see how that could happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
you can just put the last sentence back in, I think, is what they're
Good
saying.
one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, that one you're keeping.
I guess we
Yeah.
might as well leave the administering the oath too. I don't know.
So Clark County doesn't administer an oath in any hearing in front of any commission.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and this leads to the question of what about the motion of the complainant in B?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, sometimes complainants change their minds. But folks still want to go ahead with things. This would allow that.
I guess it seems like maybe we might as well add the complainant there. Just to be consistent with A.
I mean, the complainant where it says respondent?
Upon motion of respondent or complainant or upon its own motion.
Right.
Well, that makes sense.
And the commission would vote on it regardless.
Right.
So upon motion of complainant, the commission, complainant or respondent? Is that what you're adding?
I would keep it as it is as much as possible. So maybe upon motion of complainant or respondent or upon its own motion.
Okay,
No. Oh, yeah, that word. You're right.
okay.
Oh,
On to C.
that out of here.
I think that's fair. 10 days
Yeah.
gives us a chance to review things and
Yeah.
not have to do it 10 minutes before.
Right.
So it looks like the way this is set up, the complainant only files its complaint.
And then could possibly participate in the hearing.
And participate in the hearing, yeah.
But I would absolutely put the complainant in here so that it is clear that the complainant may submit briefs, memoranda, documentation, and related materials.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So then C, after respondent, it should just say and complainant
Or complainant.
or complainant. All right, are we on to D?
Yeah.
I don't have any problems with D.
No.
Me either.
All right. E. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, since you've, all the rest previously allows the complainant to submit information, additional information and briefs. Is there the opportunity to be heard at the hearing?
Yeah, it seems like there should at least be after the response of the respondent, there should be something by the complainant, but a more typical thing from in a court anyway, would be that the complainant would do that second bullet point there.
I don't know that some of the people will want to do that. I mean, I don't think we can put a complainant in the position of the, say, prosecuting attorney or the plaintiff's attorney in the same regard that you're referring to. I think if they want, they've presented whatever evidence they want, they've submitted their complaint. I don't know that they will necessarily want to be on stage, so to speak.
That's a good point, and this is set up to be including but not limited to, so we could have a practice of asking if they wanted to, and if they said no, then
Yeah,
this
I think
gives us
just
the
having the
minimum.
opportunity if they want to say something as well, but I don't think it should be the burden of the complainant to come forward and make a presentation about what's going on here.
Right.
Yeah, good point. All right. Fine with it as it is then?
Well, and just
Uh,
the complainant will have provided all their rationale and their reasons and all their information in the investigation, correct?
mhm.
And so that information we'll already have.
And it also says in that third line that is by the preliminary findings by the respondent and presentation of supporting evidence if desired, which would mean if we needed to hear something else from the complainant, we could hear that,
Right, right,
but it's not necessarily putting them on the spot.
right. That's good.
Okay.
So, question. Now, a response to charters and response to commission's preliminary findings by respondent. I think that's if the respondent desires that, not the commission.
Yeah, I agree with that reading.
Okay.
So my question is, here we have the chair, and here we have the respondent. Does anybody else get to talk at this hearing?
Well, I think if they have witnesses that, in fact, what's being complained of didn't happen or did happen, those people should be allowed to be heard. Or do you think that's been already done in the evidence investigation?
No, I would suggest having an opportunity to be heard at the hearing. And I would suggest, but this is only a suggestion, I would suggest allowing the complainant and any other witness who wants to testify. But that's just, one thing you can do is limit the time that they have to testify.
Well, anyone
Mhm.
else who wants to testify, quote, with relevant information, because you don't want people just testifying.
Right.
Right.
Well, I think if we allowed if we gave the complainant what the respondent is given here, if desired, then that might balance that out. I get a little bit nervous about the idea of letting, I guess you can limit their time, like you're saying, Chris, but letting anybody come in who might want to
Right.
make a comment about something like this seems like it could get really complicated.
It
And
could.
it could. Yeah.
So you're suggesting then just giving the complainant the same thing that the respondent has. It's optional if they desire to do it.
Yeah.
So opportunity of the complainant to respond to the commission's preliminary findings and the presentation of supporting evidence, if desired.
Yeah.
So we're adding another bullet point, then the complainant has the opportunity
Yeah,
to
I'd put it
respond.
above the response, I think.
The what?
I'd put it above the response so that the complainant, I mean, it could even just say the complainant shall have an opportunity to present supporting evidence if desired.
And that way the respondent goes last, which I think is important because I think that the respondent needs an opportunity to give rebuttal if they wish.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. How's everybody else feel about that
Yeah.
one?
I agree.
All right. So I guess we should all read through the next several and see if we spot anything.
So I'm not sure I would, I would just say, never mind. I don't like citing statutory sections when they can be amended and renumbered, and then we have
Oh,
something
yeah.
from the
That's a point.
ancient past. I'd rather say the Washington Open Public Meetings Act, but not.
I
a
like
big
that.
deal.
I agree.
That's a very good suggestion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
F, I think then looks good.
Deliberations by the,
Which number is that?
not sure. We're on F.
Oh, did I go too far?
Yeah, I'm not
Sorry
sure
about that. There we go.
you can hold deliberations in executive session.
Oh, right here.
I'm not sure. I tend to think that's an OPMA violation.
Is that, well, let's see, what's the,
So if you're deliberating, does that end with everybody saying, yeah, so we all agree, right? Because that's not allowed.
Well, but a deliberation just could be a discussion and then you're back in open session to say,
Okay. Just so that is absolutely clear.
right,
That is something that comes up in my practice
sure.
over and over and over and over again.
Right.
You can't take a vote in executive session.
Right,
okay,
but we can deliberate.
You can talk about it, yeah.
And I think that needs to be done in a closed executive session.
I picture this taking place kind of like an appellate panel, where the judges go back into their super secret room to have their super secret discussions, and then they come out and issue their decision.
But they vote in their super secret room too. You're not allowed to. But according to OPMA 42.30.110 F, you may evaluate complaints or charges brought against a public officer or employee. So that probably covers deliberations. Okay, never mind.
Okay, and then G covers the other part.
Right.
open public meeting. Yeah.
All right, seems like we're covered. Okay, but we're not gonna do oaths, right?
That would be unique at the county.
What do they do if it's like a land use hearing or something where the hearing examiner is taking testimony? There's no oath given for that?
I don't believe so.
Hmm.
Trying to remember the last time, I mean, people speak at public hearings and meetings and, they're expected to tell the truth, but the decision makers are also expected to evaluate their credibility.
Yeah. Well, if it's not the practice in the county, then I suppose I guess take it out. What does anybody else think?
Is that just a practice or is there some sort of rule, law, statute?
Well, definitely is not a statute.
Okay. I don't have a problem with it being under oath, but if that is going to cause ripples elsewhere, then I guess we didn't know that. But to me, it just, I mean, people are going to lie, but sometimes they may not lie. It's the same when they feel like taking an oath. It seems more, especially to the average person, a little more
Right.
serious.
Right.
Well, Chris, what do you think if we leave it in? Are we doing something wrong?
I don't know. I am emailing one of my colleagues right now to
Okay.
inquire about witnesses at land use hearings.
Okay.
People who testify before county council at hearings on comprehensive plan designations do not take an oath.
Right. But this is different than public participation. This is like
It could be,
True.
yeah.
Evidence.
witnesses and
Yeah.
Can we leave it in and then if there's a problem, take it out before it's
Yeah.
finalized this? Can we just leave it in right now?
Yeah, we can move on to presiding officials and wait to hear what Chris hears back from people.
Okay.
Okay, so I have sent an email. We'll see if I get anything while you're still meeting, and if I hear something earth-shaking before the next meeting, then perhaps a change could be made then.
Okay, do we want Kristen to highlight that oath so that we remember to come back to it?
Good
Okay.
idea.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Kristen.
This cannot happen. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, a member of the commission. I recall that at the last meeting, you all talked about potentially having an alternate to serve. And that is not something that is, I think, allowed.
Okay. So then if there's, and that wouldn't, and maybe I should have thought about this sooner, but Chris, would that include if the alternate was the county manager?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so then I think what we're kind of stuck with is that if something were to happen where one of us had a conflict of interest, it's going to require unanimous decision by the other two to find a violation, which I guess is just what it is. It'd be nice if there was a tiebreaker, but if the tie goes to the person complained against, maybe that's appropriate.
This, by the way, is one of the reasons why there are 5 members on the Clark County Council.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, I don't expect to need to be recused, but it is definitely possible that an attorney practicing locally could have a conflict. So I think I guess where I'm at with it now is I'm okay leaving it to 2 people to have to agree, given that the person who's complained of is going to get off if 2 people don't agree. In other words, if you can only convince one person that something went wrong, then something's wrong with the complaint.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite. I would prefer an alternate, but if that's not possible, then this seems like the next best thing to me.
Okay.
And Chris, did you have anything else you want to add about this, or?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. All right, everyone's okay then with the recusal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 4.
Are we on 3.4 or 4?
3.34.
Okay.
Well, this one's definitely not written. Something's wrong with this one. Because you can't have the chair ruling on the request if the chair is one of the people who might be potentially not fair and impartial.
I think, oh, okay.
But it's after consultation with the commission members. So the chair's not deciding. I mean,
Hmm.
Hmm. So this reads to me like we might all sit around and hear what someone has to say about someone maybe not being impartial. And then we're going to talk.
and
And then
then
the chair is going to decide whether.
What if you just switched the word chair out and used the word commission?
the commission shall rule on the request.
So that would take a vote.
Right.
Yeah.
The person being requested to recuse gets to vote.
Oh, that's a good question.
Well, you can put an exception in there.
And then if we have an exception, but there's only 2, then they both have to agree.
Bingo. So I would, if you're going to do an exception, the way to do it might be at the end of that sentence and say, provided that the commissioner, where are we? Whose recusal is sought shall not vote on their own recusal, or may not vote on their own recusal.
Mhm.
And so then if the remaining two split, then
No
no recusal
recusal.
happens.
Yeah, you do.
I guess that makes sense. It fits with what we just went through on the other one
Right.
about a tie going to the accused.
Yeah. I think you were, yeah, Kristen, I think you were right. It's whose recusal is sought rather.
Ooh, that's not.
REC.
Thank you.
It's all right.
Because you're all watching me.
Okay,
Oh, geez.
RECUSAL.
Thank you. I don't know what I was doing.
Typing in front of an audience.
And I know. I'm surprised it took me this long to make a mistake like that. Provided that the commissioner whose recusal is sought.
May not vote on the request.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then. But that would have to occur at the hearing. That would have, or at a meeting.
Because it involves a vote.
It
right?
involves a vote, and it involves more people than just the chair.
Well, so basically then what that means is that either party is going to have to make that request. I guess it would be at the hearing. Well, they could do it earlier, I guess.
Yeah, I would suggest that leave that part in so that everybody knows to think about it
Yeah.
and looks at what they say. But
And
then you can
Get
just,
to hearing, they don't have that opportunity.
right,
Yeah.
We get to the hearing and basically one of the first things we do is say, there's been a request that Commissioner X recuse. And so we're going to deal with that first.
and so, yeah, in the sentence where it says provided blah, 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 you need to take out and prior to the hearing.
Oh, so
because
it
it's
wouldn't be
at the hearing.
okay.
Just
So it would be a separate meeting.
no, it's at the hearing,
Okay.
but it's like the first thing that the commission does there.
Right.
So it's prior to making any other ruling.
Okay.
And what it says now is and prior to the hearing. You need to take out and prior to the hearing.
Any other ruling and prior to the hearing, here it is.
Mhm.
And also dump the last sentence.
Yeah. Okay, are we all good on that one?
Uh-huh.
That's a
Sorry.
tricky one.
I had to.
Are you losing juice, Commissioner?
Darcy,
that? I was totally losing juice. I didn't
Oh,
want to
dear.
just, yeah, but I'm good now.
Okay, cool.
All right. Time limit seems good to me.
yeah. And I think it's good that it can be extended or limited during the hearing, because if you've announced prior that it's going to be X minutes and you need Y minutes, then it's good to
Right.
change it.
Yeah. Okay, we're on to 3.5.
I'm good with that highlighted section.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me too. Chris, you're good with that one?
I think that one, what the last one, I think that was totally your choice.
Rights of the parties. Okay.
Okay.
The only thing that comes to mind, and I'm being very nitpicky here, I guess, is that it starts with every party, and I'm not sure that we're clear on what every party means.
Good point.
So I don't know if we might want to change every party to each complainant and each respondent or something like that. Typically, I would
Hopefully,
think-
there's only one per,
hopefully,
but you
yeah.
never know, I guess.
You never know, because some
Right.
cross complain or
Right.
Good points.
Gonna capitalize respondent, or you want to capitalize complainant?
Yeah, they
Thank
haven't
you.
been capitalized before, so I would just,
If they weren't before, I would take it out either, but either make it
Yeah.
consistent.
yeah.
Okay, and I will run back through at the very end and fix any weird spacing that I see, and I can double check that kind of stuff too.
Okay.
Super.
okay, everyone comfortable moving on to 3.6?
Yep.
So just out of curiosity, yes. I was gonna say, 5 days for a brief, huh? Woo!
Hmm.
Of
I
course,
think
they're-
so. I think so. They've had their opportunity. It's
Yes.
not the same that they have to research like you're doing a appellate brief or something like that. I mean, they either did what they did or they didn't do what they
Right.
did.
But remember also, this is gonna come to you. And you will have just spent your time preparing for and then hearing a matter. So it's going to be a big time commitment on your part at that particular moment as well.
Is that in, oh. Was that above or in this 3.6?
Yeah, it wasn't 3.5.
Yeah, because I can't see it. Can you go down, Chris? Thank you. Fifth business day would probably actually extends it even further, because most of the things will not happen on Monday that you have to have it in, but even by Friday, it would still move it to the following Monday.
True.
So you're really looking at 7 days anyhow.
Mhm. And I mean, what this requires, may accept and deliberate on these briefs, but you can't vote on them unless you have a meeting.
Right, but we don't have a time limit there for the commission,
True.
which is fine. So I think getting them in with the next 5 business days, which turns into 7, is reasonable. Because we'd have just heard it. We don't want to wait for another month to go, oh, what was that hearing about? No, I can't remember. It's right in my memory.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's
a good
reasonable.
point. Totally makes sense to me, and it's completely your choice.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm good with it. Uh,
Did you say something, Adam?
it was just
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if I'd lost audio. Okay, we're good.
Well, while we're thinking about that, I received a response from my colleague who says that in his experience, oaths are not administered at land use hearings. There are no evidentiary rules, he says, and the word expert is thrown around shamelessly. So there you are.
So I'm still in the same position of saying, yeah, I think we should have oaths.
I'm fine.
I don't know any reason why it would be prohibited.
Good. I think the 3.6 is acceptable.
So there's at least in the in the first highlighting, second line, 15 business needs the word days after it.
And this allows any other person
Yeah, that's what I've
wants
been,
to be heard.
yeah, that's what I've been getting a headache over, but
You know, this is Pierce County's. It doesn't need to be yours.
yeah.
True.
15 business days is really 3 weeks. Which is
That's true.
plenty of time.
Yeah, I think the issue for me, I have two issues with this. One, does the complainant really need to ask? And two, do you really want to hear from any other person?
Yeah. It seems to me that we made accommodations above for the complainant to put on their case. And that opening this up for anybody who may want to comment is not really the way that I imagine this going. But
Right, I agree. It could go, it could be a problem. I don't know why anyone else has a right to weigh in at this point. I mean, the complainant can have them be a witness if they believe they have good information, but to just be able to give a speech, I don't know.
Well, I guess we set above in the part above about the procedure, about who gets to be heard when, kind of sets that out. Can we just reference that back, take all of this highlighted area out?
And I would also, I would dump the whole section.
I think I would too.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
My only concern is that first sentence that they make, it makes clear that they don't have any standing to intervene in the investigation or be a part of it.
What if we move that part up to be the first sentence under 3.5?
Presiding officials? Or no, I'm sorry, got the wrong one.
Kristen, can you show us? Yeah, 3.5, rights of parties. Ooh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I would take out the word consideration there. Special standing to intervene in the investigation.
Of the complaint.
Yeah,
Okay,
does that make sense? Because when you're doing executive session, you're I would, that's interesting. That's interesting. To participate in the investigation. Yeah, I suppose that's true. Well, what do you think?
I think taking that in consideration and leaving to participate is okay, because you're saying
Yeah,
they don't have, they don't get to participate, intervene, or do anything else.
Should it say intervene in the investigation or the hearing?
No, because they do participate in the hearing. They've got to participate in the hearing.
right. They've been, the rules.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense to me. So are we saying then period after investigation and then move that up to be the first sentence of 3.5?
No, we're saying period after commission, taking out or consideration.
Oh, just taking out our consideration. Okay.
Yeah, and moving that up to 3.5 or
Yeah.
whatever, 3 point, whatever.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
And
then
then this
just
whole
getting rid of-
section, right?
Yeah,
Okay, and then I, of course, will go back through and change all the numbers.
yeah.
Can we do just one more thing on this? At where it says when a complaint has been filed with the commission, can we just say submitted to the commission instead? Because if we're just taking phone calls, I don't feel really like we're getting things filed.
Filed.
That's a good point.
So it'd be submitted to.
Submitted to the commission, you.
Mhm. Okay,
Wow, I just want to pause right here and say, great work, you guys. It looks like we actually stand a chance of getting through this by 5.
Amazing.
Excellent.
Um, okay,
I don't mean that. That's perfectly fabulous, so.
yeah. Okay, so we're all reading 3.7 now.
Mhm.
What about investigations? There isn't any communication during the investigation? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, are we good on 3.7?
I'm okay with it. There's definitely there's some ways that it could be cleaned up, but for example, commission member who receives the communication may be disqualified under the procedure in section 3.3.
That's the
Otherwise, it's just kind of
recusal
really
section.
vague, right? So, sorry, Kristen, I was looking at 3.7.4. In the second line, towards the end, it says may be disqualified.
That's
I would
right.
just add pursuant to,
Okay.
and then cross-reference that back up to the one about recusals. I think it was 3.3.
Let me look. Let's see. Presiding officials.
Yeah, 3.3, section 4.
4. Oh,
Yeah.
2 recusals. Okay. Oh. 3.3.
Other than that, I'm good with 3.7.
Okay, are we moving to 3.8?
Is everyone okay with 3.7 or?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, before we go to 3.8, let's talk about what Chris mentioned, that we do need to think about an investigation. So just kind of thinking this through about the investigation phase. So we arrive at our quarterly meeting and there's a complaint in the hopper. And so we look at it and we decide that it needs to have an investigation. Then how do we get into that investigation phase and determine what it includes? I guess we just discussed that at the meeting.
I guess, but I've wondered about that as well. If there needs to be some language that defines the investigation process. But maybe it is dependent on each individual case and that can be determined at the meeting. I don't know.
I would think that each identification might be a little different than, and
That's
therefore
true.
you might determine at the meeting, okay, this is how we're going to do it.
Well, but I mean, should there be timelines? Does the complainant need to be and the respondent need to be notified?
I think
within
they've been
so many-
notified in one of these upon a complaint. Wasn't there a notification?
Well, the complainant knows that it was submitted, does the respondent?
But do they know that there's going to be an investigation?
Yeah, and that as well. So my thought is that it will be fabulous if you get through what's here now. Maybe the investigation rules could wait till next meeting.
That makes sense. So we can think about it.
Yeah.
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 And maybe Kristen could contact another county or two and see if they have written procedures or rules for investigation. We can also check what our own HR department does in if there's an investigation. I mean, there are a couple ways to do this.
Well, and the
That
other
would be
thing
great.
the other thing I've been thinking about, but didn't know if I wanted to bring it up, is collective bargaining agreements. I mean, I can see from my past unions saying, you know, if there's a complaint, you know, you got to follow the CBA process. So,
Boy, that really makes sense, and I really hadn't thought about it. I think we need to look into that,
yeah.
and that's something I can look into.
Okay. So we'll have a lot to talk about as far as investigation procedures go at the next meeting.
Okay.
Fun.
Okay, so then shall we move to 3.8?
Okay.
Okay.
This seems like it's within the statutory provisions and not really something we can or need to tweak.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I don't see anything. Yeah. Do we have this, Chris? Do you know,
Have what?
can the county can the county prosecutor be required to petition the Superior Court to enforce the order, or is it?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Sorry.
Or is that part of an RCW? It makes it sound like it is.
So I am looking, chapter 4217A is campaign disclosure and contribution. So
Okay.
this is about something different from just your standard ethics. I know that our prosecutor, unless there is actually something, I think, in the county charter that requires our prosecutor to act, and I'm here to tell you there isn't, our prosecutor will not be told what to prosecute.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I kind of think, in the interest of time, we should maybe put a pin in this one too, because I think we need to look at our code at what we're authorized to do. And I don't think I don't, it seems strange that we're going to make conclusions of law. I don't know if that's allowed or not. I mean, I guess allowed is. I think I guess I think our code tells us, there's several things we can do as far as remedies or results of a hearing where we decide a violation has occurred. And so I think we need to retweak this section to reflect what our own code says.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Some thought.
Sorry, guys.
So our
Good point,
council makes findings of fact, it makes findings and conclusions. And it's
Okay.
kind of mushy. It doesn't say, well, these findings are findings of fact and these are conclusions of law. Which is appropriate because most of them are not attorneys and they certainly have no judicial authority. But they do make findings and conclusions.
Okay. Do we have,
But still,
does anyone have our code for this commission up to see, like, I remember that it says something about what we're supposed to issue at the end.
Yes. Was it the actual
It's-
code here, or are you wanting the charter review resolution that was passed?
The code, I think.
Okay. I have both, so whichever.
Oh, there it is.
public admonishment, resolution of censure, or any action as allowed by law.
Yeah. So for now, we could do something as simple as just looking back up at number 1, within 30 calendar days after the conclusion of the hearing, the commission shall, based on a preponderance of the evidence, so keeping what's in there, make and fully record in its permanent records a written decision uh, regarding whether, I don't know, I'm just making this up, so this would probably need to be tweaked or not, but
I'm typing as you go, so I don't forget
okay,
to.
regarding whether to, and then that list of things from the code.
The options. Yeah.
That makes sense. If we could leave this until the next meeting, it might make more sense.
Yeah. Maybe just plop those things in from the code for now and then leave it all yellow to come back to.
And was it, let's see, this
It's in
first part?
three. It's in one, yeah, 020 sub 3,
Yeah.
Sub 3, okay.
where it says including but not, so whether to, and then it's
Whether to issue a public admonishment, public reservation of censure.
or take any other action allowed by law.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Kristen, we can deal with this tomorrow if you'd like.
Okay, well, I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I'm lost at exactly where you're talking about right now.
Where it says including but not limited to.
In 2.07.0203,
Oh, thank you.
first line towards the end.
Including, not, thank you, thank you,
Yep.
thank you. There we go, okay.
Oh, this says something about a collective bargaining agreement too.
What is
Oh,
it?
down here.
Yeah.
As required or allowed by county policy or applicable collective bargaining agreement. But that's, once the commission has held its hearing and its investigation and done its thing, it says then the county manager gets to think about the collective bargaining agreement. And I think there's a legitimate question of whether it has to be thought of before we get there.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay,
Oh, that doesn't make sense though.
whether to, what did we say, whether to issue a public? Or take, oh, and then, sorry, towards the end of the sentence, after censure or take any action as allowed by law.
I would say any other action.
Right, right, good point. Yeah. Yeah, all right, so that's a fairly nuanced one we'll need to come back to.
Okay, I'll leave it highlighted, but at least we have that added for now, I guess.
Yeah. That makes sense to everybody?
Yep.
Okay. All right, 4.1, advisory opinions.
So does 2.07 say that this can happen?
I was wondering why we need advisory opinions.
Right. It says that you can take actions as allowed by law.
Yeah, so this is interesting because this would allow a county official or employee to come to us and say, I'm thinking about X, is that okay?
Oh,
Because basically it creates a investigation by request, doesn't it?
Is that our charge?
yeah, I don't see it as being your charge. I see your charge as being triggered by the filing or submittal of a complaint.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I kind of agree. I would lean towards scratching this whole section.
Yep.
Okay, 4.1.
I get why they would want it, but
Yeah, that could be quite the time sink,
yeah,
Oh,
as
yeah.
well as beyond your charge.
yeah.
I don't know why it's. There it goes.
Okay, are we on to section 5? I don't see why not.
Yep.
All right.
Oh, so this is public participation at the regular meetings.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. I'm fine with it.
And OPMA has recently been amended post-COVID to highly encourage allowing the public in general to be able to participate in open meetings.
Right.
Yeah, I like allowing that.
Yeah, I agree.
And this actually looks like a pretty good, reasonable procedure for it.
Number one is a little, that's a little different from what's necessary when it's hybrid participation.
Yeah, raise their hands.
Yeah, and I'm not sure all that is quite necessary,
Yeah,
if any of it.
but I don't think any of that's necessary.
Mm-mm.
Well, maybe though, I mean, it's nice to have their name and what's going on with them on the record.
What is those wishing to speak? About taking this out and just saying those wishing to speak will be asked to state their full name.
That makes sense to me.
That
Yep.
works for me.
Yeah.
Two is fine.
Agree.
I would say mailed or emailed.
Yeah, that's good.
Mailed, emailed, or posted.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we on to,
Let me read to you RCW 4230.040. Conditions to attendance not to be required. Yeah, this is just about attendance. It's not about participation. Never mind. We can't require them to give a bunch of information in order to attend.
oh, that's right, no conditions. Yeah. I
And,
don't
and
technically think we need that last paragraph of this section because I think we covered that above, but
right.
Oh, this here.
yeah. Okay. Are we on to 5.2?
Yep.
I think
Oh,
so.
and was this highlighted portion? Are we keeping that?
I think we keep it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we decided to keep all of that.
If a member of the public wishes to have an item scheduled on the agenda, well,
I can't imagine what they would want to have on the agenda.
Well, they
But it
might
just,
say something like, for example, they might have a complaint about the way our bylaws work. Someone might want to make a comment that's not an ethical complaint that says, I think you guys should be allowing who knows what, more.
so the county has a serial participator at the moment who shows up at every single meeting of the county council and some other meetings as well, and talks about how unethical the county council is because of things that happened in the pandemic and God only knows what else.
Yeah.
But she is extremely sincere and extremely wordy, and I guarantee you, she will put on the agenda the ethical failings of the council. Based on their desire to have one world order and to follow Henry Kissinger.
Right. Well, she can submit a comment just like anyone else, and we'll investigate it.
Well, it does say submissions do not obligate the chair or commission to consider the item. Yes, she could submit a complaint if she wanted to.
Right.
Yeah, so it sounds like we will see a complaint from her.
It is likely.
And
I expect one.
yeah, so I mean, my position on that, granted, I have sort of been in a position like this before, but is she's got a right to the same process as the rest of us. And we have to take the complaints that seem frivolous and deal with them fairly. And, let her file her complaint, and we can go through the process of deciding that it doesn't deserve a hearing. And we can tell her why. And if she wants to keep sending us emails before every meeting, then we'll just keep telling her the same thing.
I was just interested in whether you wanted her to submit a request to have an item on the agenda, which is not a complaint.
Yeah, not particularly, but I want other people to be able to.
Okay, so then.
Well,
she
and
should
you
be
kind
able
of have to leave that number 5 in there.
Yeah,
Right.
that's where I'm leaning.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Okay, everyone's good moving
Yeah.
on to 5.2 then?
Mhm.
Chris, you all right with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I just wanted you to take the action knowing what what one of the consequences may be.
yeah. I guess I should point out that I do know there's a group of people that has a particular set of beliefs about the role of federal judges. And I have known federal judges who have ended up with security details assigned to their houses because they've
Right.
denied requests by people who have beliefs that some of us would consider crazy. So
Mhm.
it's not without risk, I guess, to just take comments from everybody.
On the other hand, a comment is not an item on the agenda.
That's right. Good point. Yeah. Okay. All right. 5.2.
What is advisor? First line on page 8.
First line on page 8.
Oh, there was. Oh, I see what you're saying.
It could be advisor on anything on
I think Kristen's the advisor and Chris is the legal counsel.
Well, it could be a staff member
Yeah,
who has,
Yeah.
who has expertise or whatever.
I would say a staff member.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if we leave it as advisor, then that would include staff member in case there's some other expertise that's required.
Well, that's a capital A, which indicates to me that that's a defined term and that has special meaning in Pierce County. And we don't have it here.
So just
Okay.
Small a.
Uh,
I think the rest of this looks good.
yeah.
Me too.
Oh, I guess there's more.
Oh, I would dump all those numbered things and I would just say executive sessions may be called for discussion of topics allowed by state law. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So that is topics plural.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There we
I
go.
like that. That's good.
Yeah.
I think, oh,
Woo!
That's the
There
end?
is, that's the end, and we can also save this for next time, although I don't think it has to be complicated. But we need something about amending the bylaws.
Yes.
So we can save that for next time if you want. I'm sure you guys probably have provisions in other county documents. I can pull provisions from business documents that I've drafted. But we just need a procedure to allow that to happen.
Kristen, will you send us out the revision?
yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Great.
And then, so I will send this out and also,
Send out a clean copy too.
yeah, I can, I'll make it so you can't see the changes or, the track changes, just a clean
Do,
revised
do
copy.
one of each.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
I'd
can do
like
that.
to see the check changes as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can do that though. Perfect.
The Wheelock branch. Okay.
So I do want to mention in the chat, we did just get a chat from a member of the public listening asking if they can have copies. And I do know that, of course, it's, open to public record and whatnot. Is this draft something I should post to the web as a meeting document for today as a working draft?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I can put a watermark for working draft across it.
Yeah.
Or, okay, I probably won't be able to get that posted until tomorrow.
Policy documents, drafts of policy documents need not be provided upon public request
That's what I thought.
Oh,
until, but this is not a policy document, I would say, until the final is
Mm.
decided on. But this is a public meeting right now. There's no way to say that this draft is confidential. So I think it should be provided. I would post it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we, what's next on the agenda?
oh yes. I know we kind of talked about future meetings in the bylaws, but I don't know, our office will send out a special meeting notice. I don't know if we decided when, if it'll be, quarterly, the first Thursday of the month, or I don't know if you all want a sooner meeting, just to kind of finish up the bylaws.
I
I
would,
think we need a sooner meeting.
Me too.
yeah, I agree.
And we can send out notices for that. So, I mean,
So I can do this I can do this again as soon as everybody else wants. I think while it's still fresh in our mind, it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah. What
I
in a
agree.
couple?
Is just next Thursday at 2 p.m. too long or okay? Or I don't know, Darcy, did that work for you?
Now, next week is a bit of a problem for me because I'm going to be out of town with vacation, with spring break. But I'll only be out like Tuesday through Friday, so Monday would be fine.
Oh,
And I could actually join in by phone again
So you don't
during the
mean
break.
next Monday the 3rd, you mean Monday the 10th?
Well, I meant Monday the 3rd because that one is open. The rest of the week is a little bit problematic, but the following week I'm totally open.
Me too.
Me too.
Want to just go to the following week?
As
Yeah,
long
we
as
do.
it's in the afternoon, I can attend. I have hearings in the morning.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
free every afternoon the week of the 10th.
okay.
Yeah.
I've got a somewhat busy afternoon on Wednesday, the 12th. So I think if we avoid that, then otherwise it'll work.
How about the 11th?
Yep, that all looks good
I
to
am,
me.
and I don't know if I need to be there, but I'm actually going to be out the afternoon of the 11th.
Okay.
Okay,
But Monday or Thursday work well.
Yep.
Or Friday if we want to do a Friday.
they're all open for me. So if anyone else has constraints,
Monday would probably work best for me.
Okay. 2 o'clock?
sure.
2 o'clock,
Okay.
Monday the 10th.
2 o'clock
Perfect. I
Monday.
will work on a special meeting notice and probably get that sent out tomorrow and then
Okay.
get everything posted. So we should be all good to go with that and everything.
Okay.
Okay. Anything
Oh,
for the
I
good of
should-
the order?
Oh, there's something before then. Open meetings and public records.
Oh, right.
Right. So I assume that you have all taken the state trainings on that.
Yes, I ran through them.
Okay, and other commissioners, Commissioner Rourke, Commissioner Baskerville?
Yeah.
Okay, I heard one and I didn't hear the other.
No, that was me, Barbara.
Okay. So you both did. All
Mhm.
right, so the first topic on my talk is, do you have any of you any questions about it?
The thing that I don't have necessarily questions about it, but I need to spend more time looking at the executive session rules.
Yes.
That's-
They're less complex for your purposes than they appear when you look at the RCW. Because
okay.
there's a ton of stuff in state statute that probably is not related to anything you're going to deal with. Like, oh, if the county is negotiating on a price for real estate, that's not applicable here. So I would encourage you to look at it though. Okay, so there are just a few points then that I wanted to make, and if you have any questions ever about these things, please do let me know. So as we've discussed, a quorum is 2 of you. That means if 2 of you run into each other at the grocery store, you can't talk about, oh, well, that was sure a weird meeting we had. Don't talk about county business outside an open public meeting. So, did Commissioner Rourke go away?
I think
It
she
looks
did.
like she dropped off somehow.
Yeah. Maybe she's on the phone with Kristen. Okay, well, I'll go ahead with the rest of you. The second is you really need a regular meeting schedule. It needs to be posted online. It needs to happen. The requirements for notice for a special meeting are more intensive and extensive than for a regular meeting. We don't want them all to be special meetings. We want a regular schedule that both you and the public can count on. So please be thinking about how to do that so that that can happen at the next meeting. Third, I wanted to let you know about public records because we talked about that a little bit. If a public records request about your about the commission is received by the county, probably it will include a request for public records that you might have either generated or reviewed. And that includes, you know, things on your email and text messages and anything you might post or see on social media. So here's a little advice. You'll be asked to certify by the county that you have searched all the places where those records might be. So make it easy on yourself and put them somewhere. Make a folder for your email related to this and put any email that ever comes to you that has to do with the Ethics Commission in that folder. Likewise, any email you ever send. Same for text. And then as far as social media goes, just the county doesn't have a social media policy that I know of right now, which makes things a little difficult and mushy and has resulted in litigation. In order to avoid being part of litigation, I would suggest that you don't say a word about this on social media. But that's just my, you know, ancient generation view of social media anyway. Still, we don't have a policy, and you will again be asked about social media if someone alleges that you created or used public records on social media. So that's it. There's your big tutorial. Again, if you have any questions or issues, please let me know.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all good stuff to remember.
And that was Darcy who called me. She has having some service problems, lost service on her cell phone there, but she did verify that, yes, that was her replying that she did take the training and whatnot. And she said to just give her a call back if needed, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, now what about the good of the order? I've got nothing.
Good of the order. Okay. I have nothing.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we got a lot farther than I thought we were going to get, actually.
I'm
Perfect. And
impressed.
I will save, you know, 2 versions, the track change and a cleaner copy. And I'll work on that tomorrow morning and get that out to everyone and finish up with required stuff for your next meeting. So,
Excellent.
Sounds good.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Great work. Thanks, everybody.
yes,
Always
thank you. Have a
good.
good evening.
Thank
Thanks.
you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.